Welcome to Unlearn the Crap and Level Up. Your soul is calling. My name is Kathy Baldwin, and on this episode of the Unlearning Curve, this episode is dedicated to all the women like me who've been holding it all together for so long, staying consistent, over-delivering, pushing through, even when, and actually especially when, life and your spirit and your own body are begging you to pause. You see, I didn't just take a break from the podcast. It wasn't a planned hiatus. I was called into a reset by my nervous system, yes, but also by external forces, universal timing, and a deeper recalibration that I didn't see coming. I used to think that consistency was the holy grail, that if I just kept going, I'd find my way into alignment. But what I've come to unlearn is this: when rhythm breaks, it's not always a failure. Sometimes it's divine intervention. So in this first episode of season 2 of Unlearning Curve, I'm sharing the real reason I took a step back, what hustle culture almost stole from me, and how I'm rebuilding from a place of sovereignty, not survival. If you've ever felt like the world expects you to be a machine and you're done performing for gold stars that you don't believe in anymore, this episode will meet you right where you are. Join me. Welcome to Unlearn the Crap and Level Up. Your soul is calling. My name is Kathy Baldwin. I'm your host. And on today's segment of the Unlearning Curve, it also coincides with what is now what I'm calling season 2 of this podcast. Season 2, as far as we're having a multiple season instead of it being one progressive show, which is originally how it started, but also season 2 as in the way we talk about it in regards to us moving into our second season, having a rhythm and a flow to things. You see, when I first started this podcast, I believed that I needed to release a show once a week, every week, consistently. And I loved the structure. I loved the formatting. I loved the consistency of it. But what I didn't love was the amount of stress and pressure it put on me to constantly perform. And I don't know if you've noticed, but this show has had about a 6-week hiatus. It wasn't a hiatus that I planned. It wasn't like any other TV show where they say, okay, we're going to have 13 or 26 episodes, and then we're going to have a break, and then we're going to go into our next season. That's the way normal TV show production works. I was looking for more of consistency, like a radio show. You know, you show up every single day and there's content there for you. But I realized as a podcast host and as a woman who is in her own leveling up and progressive state of life, and in my personal third season of life, that didn't work for me. And like so many things, we don't necessarily come to these realizations, these epiphanies, all on our own. It takes information coming at us from external sources, from life, to mirror back to us, or to stop us or redirect us, or however it comes about, for us to take a look at this information and evaluate, is this working for me? You see, when I started my podcast, it was an opportunity. It was exciting. It was about me sharing the ideas that I had brought forth in my books, Unlearn the Crap and Level Up Your Soul's Calling. It was about all of this fantastic integration of information that I was just so passionately excited to share. But then I realized that that was the old version of me. And if I am going to talk about leveling up, I need to be able to really level up on my own. And I had a lot of crap thrown at me. I had a lot of circumstances, relationships, events, internal, external, all that I had to take a look at and make some really good decisions. And when I talk about how our universal world is on frequencies, you can't shift channels, you can't shift frequencies by staying static on the same place, in the same plane. Unfortunately, we have these ingrained thoughts and feelings that are built into our crap, into our conditioned responses and automatic programming, the part of us that is on autopilot. And it takes these moments for us to sit back and reevaluate. And so I realized that this forced hiatus was not about being a comeback, because I'm not coming back from anywhere. I just had a rest. I just had a little break. But what I did do was recalibrate. What I did do was purge some of that leftover crap. If I'm going to be honest and come here in vulnerability and full transparency and all the things that I believe in, you're going to witness my own evolution as I go through these stages. And this podcast is probably going to end up becoming a living, breathing witness to my own evolution and my own recalibration. I don't know if you realize this or not, but there is massive amounts of energetic, magnetic field changes happening within our physical and our energetic world. And we're all being called to level up. And we're all being called to take a look at that crap about hustle as a survival mechanism, because that belief was instilled in me 80s, 90s, as a young woman joining the workforce, as a first generation woman who was, as a Gen X, trying to navigate the corporate world and find autonomy and sovereignty and my own personal alignment. I was such a component of the hustle culture. I over-delivered, I overgave, I overproduced. And I created this belief in me that said that if I wasn't consistent, and if I wasn't outperforming, and if I wasn't over-delivering, and if I wasn't not taking a break, because even in the corporate world where people were working Monday to Friday, I was putting in weekends that weren't called for, just so that I could produce at a level that I had put my own expectations on. Well, we all know that created cortisol, and it put me into a dopamine cycle where I was constantly feeding that hustle culture. I know cognitively that was damaging. I know it because I had the breakdown. I've been going through this massive 5-year journey that probably most of us have, because let's be real, COVID was a massive reset button for our world, for our society. And so part of what I'm unlearning is that in order for me to produce a high quality product with this podcast, that I must work harder and more and produce more. I need to get into the things I'm talking about all the time, which are the universal laws of rhythm, of cycles, of being within the best part of myself as a human design manifester, as a Gemini, as a woman Gen X, whatever label or energetic feeling you want to put into it. I don't need to perform all the time. And so I took a look at this hiatus that I was on, because at first, because it wasn't my choice, it was external circumstances. I felt, I'll be honest, I felt resentful. I felt out of control. I felt that someone was stealing my voice, or something was stealing my voice. And now I look at it as I'm beginning this season 2, and here it is, my very first episode of Unlearning. And I'm going to just be really raw and vulnerable and intimate here and say, I'm still unlearning the crap about the hustle culture. I'm learning what it feels like to recalibrate at a higher level, as what that frequency feels like. Because we are polar opposite within us internally. Our right brain, our left brain, the connection between our brain and our heart and our gut, and how interconnected all of that is in our world of both energetic and physical. It's so complex that when we say we want something more, and we want a higher level, and we want to level up, but we don't know what it looks or feels like, and our old systems are trying to hold us back. And that's what happened. That's what happened for me. I realized that I was feeling powerless. And instead, when I took the opportunity to say, no, I'm just leveling up, and now I can show up at a different level, and I can produce and share and do all the things that I want to do within a nervous system that understands what it feels like to go out of alignment, to know what it feels like to be pulled into a high stress place, to know what it feels like to bring myself back, to know that being in rhythm is actually revolutionary. Our world was built on cycles and rhythms. And when we feel that things are happening to us, this is an opportunity for us, for me, to take a look and say, what was I supposed to learn? What was I supposed to do? What was the message? What was the unlearning? What was the learning? And for me, this is a new level of my podcast. I am going to do it 5 days a week. I have so much I want to share. There's so many amazing people. There's so much amazing content. There's so much need for each and every one of us to challenge our thoughts and our feelings and to level up. Our world is moving extremely fast. It's changing in unprecedented ways. I've talked about how we're seeing changes within the Schumann resonance fields, which are the measurement of our electromagnetic fields of the earth. We're seeing changes in our environment as far as the oceans are changing their direction of flow, which is going to change the winds, which is going to change our energy. And if all of these things within our habitat, our environment are changing, we have no choice but to be affected by it and be changed by it and with it. And so if we are taking a look at where we are, if I am taking a look at where I am and where I want to go, I have to do it from a new place, a new feeling, a new experience, which means I have to reframe things like an external hiatus of my podcast. I have to take a look at this and decide, what do I want to do with this? Who do I want to become? Is this in alignment with me? What is ready to be released? And I did catch myself. Still holding on to that hustle mentality instead of, what does it feel like to be in rhythm with my natural feminine essence, the chaotic essence of ebb and flow, the rhythm, the movement, the creation of not only this podcast and all the things that I'm doing within it, because I'm building an entire ecosystem. What started as individual pieces of the puzzle of my life, things that I thought were disconnected and disjointed, I'm now at a place where I can see the integration and I can see the lessons and the messages that have come from each and every experience. Positive, negative, just changing, just insights, just experience. I'm really, really excited about what's coming. I'm really excited about the show outlines that I've created for this season 2. I will build into this podcast rhythm and flow so that I can live a life of alignment instead of being tied to the expectations of being in this exact place and moment. I'm learning to create systems. There's a whole back end that is being built to support my new vision, my new level up, my new recalibration of who I am and how I'm going to show up for you. This unlearning lesson is not meant to be the Kathy Baldwin show. I'm sharing these thoughts and feelings and experiences, one, to explain to you what's happened, but two, to hopefully be a window, a reflection into where you're being called to level up. What external forces are coming at you that are making you feel powerless or out of control or angry? What is it that the message is telling you? What needs to be unlearned? And what do you need to replace it with? For me, this lesson of having a podcast that is growing. I mean, do you want to hear the synchronicity about how this all happened? I don't know if you've been tracking some of the successes or celebrations that I've had, but the podcast just hit 1 year when this happened. The podcast had just hit 100,000 monthly listens across all of the platforms, plus more. I had hit a record of 75,000 lifetime downloads. I was growing and everything was happening. And then it just stopped. And like I said, that stop came from multiple places and situations, and things were happening all around me, and I was trying to hold on to what was, because I thought I was in a rhythm, but what I was in was stagnancy. And I had hit a level that it was that the lesson came long and hard, that I needed to stop doing it the way I was doing it, recalibrate, readjust, reassess, and then come back leveled up. I feel so much better than I have felt in a long time. I'm smiling more than I have in years. I am not getting swept away by the currents of what's happening externally. The chaos that's around me, I look at it with fascination and curiosity. And I try to see what I'm supposed to get from this information and this experience. That's what today's episode of the Unlearning Curve is about. It's what's happening within you. What's happening within us internally and externally that we need to unlearn. Because this episode of the Unlearning Curve is about being able to articulate, to be able to see with clarity what's happening, and take a moment to make some conscious choices. Because the conscious choices that we made a long time ago or even a short time ago are being called to level up. And this is going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening faster and faster in our world. And I'm getting better at recognizing that when chaos happens on the external, it's because it's calling me forward and upward. And I share this experience with you as a hope that you can start to articulate and have self-awareness of the chaos in your own life and what it means for you and how you're going to use this to level up your own life. Because you are being called to level up. We all are. Our souls are calling us. The world is calling us. And we must bring our light into the darkness and shed it around the world. I know it sounds kind of utopic, if that's a word, but I truly believe it. I've got a great week planned. I got some great thoughts and experiences and learnings and stories and people to introduce you to. Welcome to season 2 of Unlearn the Crap and Level Up Your Soul is Calling. My name is Kathy Baldwin, and this segment has been the Unlearning Curve. I'll see you on the next time. Until then, remember to challenge everything so that you can achieve anything. If this hit home, don't just listen, level up. Subscribe to the show. Drop me a 5-star review or share it with someone who's done playing small. Then head over to my website, kathybaldwin.me. That's where the real magic happens. You'll find my books, my podcast, and all the tools to help you reclaim your voice, rewrite your patterns, and level up into the version of you that you have been waiting for. Your soul isn't whispering anymore. It's roaring. And this is just the beginning.